Good morning, everybody. Good morning, afternoon, or good evening, whatever you, wherever you may be at this moment in time. Welcome, welcome, welcome to my life story. How's everybody doing? Welcome to the stream. Hope everybody's doing well. Hope everybody's feeling well. Hope everybody is having a decent day. This is the audio version of my life story. And welcome in. Well, allow me to give you some insight as to who I am. Well, I am a normal person, like you, like me, like anybody. And, I've been through a lot during my life and been through a lot of journeys and a lot of trials, a lot of tribulations in my life. Let's just begin at the beginning as usual. Well, what can I have you guys call me? Hmm. I don't want to be known as my former name. So let me see here. Kind of really hard to think what you guys can call me. Tell you what, just call me friend. Okay, we'll uh, we'll start off with that. Okay, but anyway, let's go back to my childhood, and we'll work our way up from there. Well, as you may or may not know, I am a child of the '70s. I was born in '75, and I was born on the 16th, January 16th, 1975. And, you know, I had a pretty challenging childhood when I was growing up. You know, I was adopted when I was 6 months old, and my dad was a what you call no nonsense type of guy, and he brought us up kind of rough a little bit, if you know what I mean. Basically, when you fall down, he's not going to give you a bandage to kiss and make it better. He's just going to say, you know, go get some running water, wash it off, and you'll be fine. You know, that type of thing. So, yeah, my dad wasn't exactly the warmest of people. He grew up very tough, and he raised us kids the same way. We learned to be, should I say, very, very self-sufficient. Um, I got my first job cutting grass when I was 6 or 7 years old. I didn't have time to be a child. I had to make money to basically get the things that I wanted and the things that I needed. And, worked my way like that. I always looked forward to Christmas time and birthdays and all that because, you know, other than me getting hand-me-downs, you know, from my dad or from, siblings, um, that was when I usually you know, got some pretty decent clothes from either from my mom or from my grandmother. Now, my grandmother, she was a very, very interesting type of woman. I used to talk with her all the time, but her patience was limited as well. When you started to be a pest, she would let you know that you're getting under her skin and to give her some room, which is fine. It's typical. Yeah. But anyway, I lived with that for a while, and I struggled in school because I currently have and have had since the day I was born fetal alcohol syndrome. So therefore, I learned how to learn, but I was, should I say, a little slow at it. I didn't learn like other kids. I was an extremely slow learner. Took me a while through repetition to really understand things. But once I did, I never forgot it. I remember one time back at school, um, I had to recite the preamble of the United States of America, and I actually memorized it, and I still haven't forgotten it, even to this day. It says, "We the people of the United States of America, in order to form a perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and do ordain and establish this Constitution of the United States of America." Now, I recited that back when I was in the 6th grade, and I'm very proud of that even to this day. I really am. It took me weeks of just repetitive reciting that over and over and over and over again till it finally just kind of stuck in my brain, and I never, you know, hold on. You know, sorry about that. Until I, never forgot it. And I'm pretty proud of myself, even to this day, that I actually remembered that all these years. And I also remember the first book the first book report that I ever did back when I was, actually, this happened back when, hold on a second. This actually happened back when I was in high school. I actually had to do a book report, and it was a book called They Thirst. And I'm not sure who wrote it, but it was a quite interesting read. It's kind of hard, to explain about the book because it had so many plots, so many twists, and so many kind of strange ends to it. You know what I mean? It's actually a book. It was actually a book that was kind of a little bit hard to follow, but it was interesting, because I like, scary movies and things like that. But I'm not really, you know, into reading that much because reading takes time and time takes effort. And, you know, just with the way I am, I've also got ADD as well. I can't just sit there and just do, however, make, learn what I'm learning and use it to the best of my ability. Like, my dad, oh my God, my dad, when it was coming to teaching me something, he just, my dad had, I love my dad to death. God rest him. He's since passed away, but I love him to death. Okay. I do. I love my dad to death, but he was a man of zero patience when it came to my studies. I used to ask my dad for help, and then I stopped because it turned out to be like the Spanish Inquisition. Like, God damn it, don't you understand what you're freaking reading? He just didn't really have the patience. Once he told you how to do something, he hated, he literally hated having to repeat himself over and over and over again. He really did. So when he told you to do something, you'd better listen the first time around or you're going to hear about it. Yeah. My dad was never abusive. He was never physically or mentally abusive. He was just really, as people would say, really staunch, really stern in his beliefs and his teachings and everything. Very, very strict. But he had to be because you know, when he grew up without a father because his father had passed away due to a brain tumor. When he was like really, really young. So he really, he really didn't know his dad much. And his mom was kind of like my mom was. Well, my mom still is to this day. She worked hard to provide for the family. And, she worked all the time and she didn't really have time to, she worked. And when she wasn't working, she was providing good meals and doing all that, you know? And so she had a lot on her plate. And she really didn't have time to, help me with my homework or anything like that. So for a while there, I pretty much, from the first grade all the way up through the 8th grade, I gave up learning. I gave up because I was stuck in mainstream classes. Nobody was wanting to help me. Nobody seemed to care. So I'm like, you know what? I'm getting zero support from anywhere. I'm getting no support from anywhere. I'm getting nothing from nowhere. So I said, fuck it. I gave up. I quit. I didn't want to learn. I just existed in school, didn't care about it. Just years, time just flew by. Then one day, my dad said something that really, really got me pissed off. He said, and I quote, "You know what? You're going to be just another retard that we're going to be taking care of and looking after for the rest of our lives." That, in him saying that directly to me, something, I don't know what it was, but something inside me snapped. It just snapped completely. And I got mad and I decided to prove my dad wrong about me. So when I got into high school, I started hitting the books. Literally, I started learning everything I can. The teachers were supportive of me. I wasn't just a number, I was actually a name. They helped me out. They made sure that when I left that classroom, that I knew exactly what the hell I was doing. What the hell I was learning before I left that classroom. And I got straight A's in every single subject. Straight up. I made the honor roll 4 times, principal's list, everything. And I graduated out of that place in 94. I graduated with honors, man. I had a nice big fat diploma and I went through graduation. And you know what was the funny part? I went directly up to my dad, showed him my diploma. And you know what he said? He said, "You know what?" He knew I could do it the whole entire time. Because what it was, you see, the way he toughened me up all these years, he did it for a reason. Because he knew me being the way I was going to get picked on. I was going to get bullied. I was going to get fucked with. And I did. All the way up through, all the way up in grade school. Picked on. I got bullied. I got made fun of. 7th and 8th grade, all the way up through, even until I finished high school. I got picked on. I got made fun of. You know, till finally, I got to the point to where I got picked on and made fun of so much that it just didn't bother me anymore. I honestly went completely and utterly numb. And I just didn't care. I didn't care who made fun of me. I didn't care what was going on. You know, I was mainly for survival at this point. And that's the way I did. I got along better with the teachers there than I did with the actual students. You know, I would go eat lunch, and most of the time, 9 times out of 10, I would either eat lunch by myself or I would eat lunch with, you know, kids that didn't have any other place to sit and they just kind of gravitated towards me. And that's basically what we did. That's basically all we did. And it wasn't that bad. You know, it really wasn't. Um, I graduated from the class of 94 and I got my first job. I had it when, you know, when I was still in high school. I was doing part-time. You know, I would work on the weekends and I'd work on the weekends and, you know, on holidays. Then when I got out of high school, um, I went from part-time to full-time. And then I got that phone call of me wanting to, you know, people wanting me to join the military. And I declined it because I already had a job and I was working at the time. So, but that's what I did. I worked, you know, made some decent money, kept going, kept going, kept going. Then, well, eventually, you know, an old girlfriend of mine, which used to be, you know, my high school sweetheart, um, she and I started dating, you know, and eventually it got to the point to where it was kind of quick. a little too quick. But it got to the point to where, you know, I wound up, moving in with her. And well, it uh, started panning out good at first, and then it just slowly declined and went downhill from there. So that was unfortunate. But there was um, there was a silver lining to this, because in the middle of all that, that's um, that's where I met my wife. And it's it's weird. I met my wife in the summer of '98, and that was after I had gotten thrown out by my ex-girlfriend, and it was just ironic how it worked out. And I started dating my wife, and I just fell in love with her, and next thing you know, one thing led to another, and wound up moving in with her. And next thing you know, in 2000, got her pregnant. My daughter was born. Just all kinds of positive things happened. But then something happened to me that I really didn't expect. Um, I had a really bad and severe mental breakdown, and I wound up almost losing my life and being hospitalized for it. And that led to a avalanche of all kinds of different things happening, and I was a mess. And yeah, so yeah, all kinds of different things. And here I am. I'm 50 years old, and still I'm married to my wife after going through all that. And my daughter's doing great. She's she's got a place of her own now. She got married and had a kid of her own and led a life of her own, and she's doing great. Everything is blossoming now. Me, I'm still a nervous wreck, but you know, I just try and avoid things that trigger me, avoid things that get on my nerves, and just move on. You know what I mean? I've accomplished a lot in my life. I really have. And how I'm alive today? Well, your guess is as good as mine, because frankly, I have no clue, have no explanation, nothing other than, well, I'm here, I'm alive, and I'm still trucking. For how long? I don't know. But either way, you know, just going to enjoy my life and just do what I can to get by. And that's about it. So this is my bio. This is who I am. And this is a little bit of insight as to what I'm about. I came on here, I've been on this platform since 2015, and I've experienced a lot on here. I did a really stupid thing. I got involved with a very, very toxic community that loved to argue, loved to fight, and loved to just complain at each other. It wasn't good. You know, and now I'm off into my own little place, my own little corner, and starting myself over again. And hopefully this time things will be better on a better note. I will have some videos coming out on this channel. I will have some more shorts coming out on this channel, as well as zany, crazy adventures of myself and things I do, you know. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and head out. So you guys take care. Much love. And I'll see you on the next one. Peace. And as usual, thank you for watching. Have a great day.